Welcome everybody to the presentation of the paper Design Thinking and Enterprise Modeling, an investigation of 8 enterprise architecture management projects. My name is Hassan Koch. I'm from Berlin International University of Applied Sciences, and my co-authors are Kurt Sandkuhl from Rostock University, as well as Jan Sterner from Stockholm University. The agenda that I will follow is pretty simple. We have two main parts. I'm going to first introduce the challenges, our solution approach, as well as the adopted research method, and then I will continue to present our important findings. So organizations adopt new technologies, new tools, and this even more during the pandemic. Many of the organizations have shifted to remote working models, right? And this almost even overnight because they had to operate their businesses. So employees across all functions, they had to learn how to use digital communication and collaboration tools. We see a plethora of those tools on the right-hand side. And this required implementing such tools in the first place. Enterprise architecture management helps us here because it delivers a holistic view of an organization. It connects different aspects of an enterprise and shows the relations, the interdependencies by means of graphical notations, enterprise modeling. So, what is the challenge here? Traditionally, enterprise architectures consist of different dimensions, such as business, application, technology, or data. So, one challenge is taking different stakeholder views into account, and this can relate to their goals, the requirements that they have, and of course, their backgrounds. So, how can we possibly overcome this challenge when we want to introduce enterprise architecture management? This is the question. This is the main question that we try to tackle. And of course, we have further uh, specified this question. But maybe first we should talk about what our proposal is, what the solution approach is. We propose to adopt design thinking based enterprise modeling techniques for this challenge. So, enterprise modeling is an area of conceptual modeling methods and tools. And in particular, we are concerning ourselves with 4EM. This is an abbreviation for enterprise modeling, right? This is an enterprise modeling method which exhibits design thinking characteristics. So, we suggest that using 4EM, and in particular its goal modeling component, may contribute as a design thinking method to set up enterprise architecture management projects. Please note that 4EM has different modeling perspectives, such as concepts model, business rules model, or business process model, and our focus is on the goal modeling component. So in this line, we seek answers to 5 research questions related to 4EM's goal modeling component. We will discuss the research questions or the results of the research questions anyway, so I spare you from reading all of them right now. Okay, so what is the research method? The research design is based on a mixed method approach, adopting a case study and a survey technique. So let's start with the case study. This is performed with a holding organization of a city in northern Germany. This is a holding organization for all city-owned utility providers, public transportation, waste management companies, and they wanted to design a portfolio of services. So the first phase was the design of the enterprise architecture. And our goal in that was to focus on the commonalities and also differences between 4EM's goal modeling component and design thinking. This will be explained in the next slides. We also designed a survey which was then performed with 7 organizations in 3 years of time. So the survey, the questionnaire, was sent to the design workshop participants right after we created the main artifact. The main artifact in that case was the goals model. So as you can see here, alongside with open-ended questions, we also use 5-point Likert scale questions. So to reduce the risk of ambiguity, we performed a pilot test with 3 domain experts in enterprise architecture management. So in total, we have 31 answers. The response rates were high, as you see, and we wanted to remedy the missing data. To do so, we first applied Liddell's MCAR test, missing completely at random, right? So we could not reject the null hypothesis that the data is missing completely at random. As such, we use the regression imputation approach to predict then the missing values, right? And in particular, we used the expectation maximization algorithm. Okay, that's the research method, and then let's talk about our findings, basically the answers to the research questions. So, the first research question: can 4EM's goal modeling component be used as a design thinking method? What are the commonalities and differences? In our view, the answer is yes. 4EM's goal modeling component can be used as a design thinking method. We checked here the important aspects, important characteristics of design thinking and compared them to 4EM. The first aspect is about participation, so the participatory aspects. Design thinking is a systematic and collaborative approach for identifying and creatively solving problems. And this is also similar to what we do with 4EM because 4EM has stakeholder participation as a core principle. And this stakeholder participation has also some interdisciplinary aspects in itself. In any design thinking method, including stakeholders from different groups, from different organizational units, is strongly encouraged. Also for or in for EM, right? Because it requires including again members from different areas, um, as long as they are interested in the value that the project wants to create. So there is also a good match. When we are involving those stakeholders, where is then the focus? In design thinking, the focus is on the humans. So human centeredness is important. Innovation is made by humans for humans. Also, this characteristic can be found in 4EM because it aims to create a better understanding for the concerns, for the limitations and priorities, and it even offers guidelines in case there are some inconsistencies or conflicts between the goals and even stakeholders. And then the personal characteristics. I mean, when we're putting human in the center, when this is our focus, so what kind of personal characteristics should we look for? In design thinking methods, the usual characteristics are optimism, empathy, integrative thinking, experimentation, and cooperation. And those are not really different from what um, 4EM proposes. Also, there, we require enthusiastic, open minded, and cooperative people. The last characteristic relates to iteration and experimentation. Design thinking is not necessarily a sequence of steps. It is best understood as an iterative approach to problem solving. And this is also what applies to 4EM method because when using 4EM, the initial models might tend to be difficult to understand, somewhat cumbersome. As such, we always require iterations in that, and this is also a way of or an iterative way of problem solving. So we can overall say that there is really a good match. The goal modeling component can be used as a design thinking method. What about the second research question? Does 4EM's goal modeling component enhance the understanding of enterprise architecture management project goals? We see the responses here on a pie chart, and they show a strong tendency towards a positive contribution. So the lowest scoring response was in that case neither agree nor disagree. This is a 3 on a Likert scale, and this was only observed in one response. So we also had a note from one participant in the open-ended questions that the workshops helped me to understand the broad spectrum of the objectives in the EAM projects. So there seems to be some strong tendency towards a positive contribution. Okay, does 4EM's goal modeling component help to specify the added value of the project artifacts? I mean, various artifacts can be produced in the EAM projects. Examples are tools, best practices, patterns, and so on and so forth. So you wanted to know whether this component, goal modeling component, helps to specify this added value of the project artifacts. And also here, the results show a rather positive attitude towards the method application. a cumulative total of 90 or over 90% agree that the application of goal modeling component helped to understand the project artifact. Nearly 7% neither agrees nor disagrees. So the fourth research question, is there an association between the preparedness of the design team and the perceived usefulness of the method? Here we use Spearman's rank correlation coefficient, and we see the correlation matrix on the slide. And preparing the design team before the workshop is basically about informing them on the 4EM method, especially on its goal modeling component. And this is significantly positively correlated with understanding of the project artifacts, or understanding of how the project artifacts can help one. On the other side, however, we could not observe any significant correlation between the preparedness of the team and understanding of the project goals. This might be due to the fact that goals in an enterprise architecture management project are to a certain extent known by the architects, long before the initiative starts. But maybe the real challenge is their realization by means of specific project artifacts, and also the inclusion of other teams, the requirements, the goals of the other stakeholders. We also have another observation here. Understanding the added value of the project artifact is significantly positively correlated. Here we see that with understanding the objectives of the enterprise architecture management project. So, of course, without assuming or claiming causality, one can expect that a specific project artifact may find more acceptance in a context where the goals are explicitly mentioned, modeled, and communicated. The last research question: what are the recommendations for the method application in the enterprise architecture management context? First, enterprise architecture management projects, or the project teams, they used goal models to promote their initiatives, and they wanted to attract relevant stakeholders from different organizational units. They wanted to integrate them to the project as early as possible. So, goal models can be used as a promotion tool. That is the first recommendation. The second one is the prioritization of the goals. So we observed also that goal models were treated as project roadmaps. And the goals were either mapped to the project milestones, or they were categorized into project phases. So this makes also a prioritization necessary, right? The third one is developing a question catalog. Um, Developing a question catalog is an interesting one, because this one helped to move from goals to more specific items using goals, and stating or restating them as questions helped teams to understand, okay, now this is what we have as a task. This is what is next to do. An example is, let's imagine a goal such as recognizing and eliminating redundancies is one enterprise architecture management project goal. And from this, we derive the question, okay, then, which business functions are supported by more than one department, or which business functions or application functions are implemented by more than one application? So this solving this problem, answering this question, may lead fulfilling this goal. Yeah. And the last one is using the flexibility to extend the syntax, using the flexibility that is offered by 4EM's goal modeling component in special. Um, for instance, when we have or had goals with higher priority, we represented them with a single dot on the right corner. So we used letters that are also attached to the goals to point out to the architecture dimensions that are related to the goals. Or you can use also different colors. We use different colors basically to convey information about the goal fulfillment. And again, for enterprise modeling's goal modeling component allows for this flexibility. So the recommendation is, of course, using this one. So experts are encouraged to use this flexibility. All right. With our study, we wanted to demonstrate how goal modeling using 4EM's goal modeling component can contribute as a design thinking method to set up enterprise architecture management projects. Thank you very much for your attention. We are looking forward to having an interesting Q&A. Thank you.